Once upon a time, in a small, wind-swept village by the Red River, a poor yet kind farming couple gave birth to a son. They named him Nguyen Hien. From the moment he could stand, Hien was mesmerized by colorful kites soaring in the sky. By the age of 3, he had already made his first kite, using taro leaves, rice straw, and cold rice for glue. Villagers often joked, "That boy must have been born with kite wings on his back." Because every afternoon, there he was, running along the dike, laughter echoing under the sky, as his kite danced to the sound of a bamboo flute. At 6 years old, despite being poor, his parents sent him to study with the village scholar. Hien arrived at class in patched clothes, barefoot, but with a memory so sharp it stunned his teacher. The lesson taught in the morning? By evening, Hien could recite it, word for word, meaning and all. One day, the teacher handed him 20 pages of Confucian texts, expecting him to falter. But the very next day, Hien recited every single line. The teacher, wide-eyed, said, "This boy must carry a magical spell that traps knowledge in his head." But hard times came. The family ran out of rice, and Hien had to stop going to school. From then on, he woke up early, swept the yard, carried water, took the buffalo to the fields, then quietly stood outside the classroom to listen in. Rain or shine, the sight of a little buffalo herder crouching by the door became a familiar one. When the buffalo grazed, Hien used a stick to practice writing on ash or sand. Sometimes he used his finger dipped in mud to write, on the buffalo's back. At night, after finishing all his chores, he'd visit a friend's house, wait patiently for them to finish studying, then borrow their books and copy the lessons onto dried banana leaves. On moonless nights, he'd catch fireflies and place them in an eggshell, making a soft lantern to light up each line of text. That flickering little light was enough to plant knowledge deep into his soul. Eventually, he submitted one of his secret essays, written on banana leaf. The teacher read it and froze in disbelief. Could a poor barefoot herder really write with such grace and brilliance? Outside of learning, Hien never gave up his love for kite making. He selected the straightest bamboo shoots, boiled them till flexible, used fig sap to bind, and carved multi-level flutes. Each afternoon, his giant kite soared high, its flute singing sweet and sorrowful melodies, like a river's whisper, like drums echoing through the autumn air. Old villagers would sit quietly and listen. "This flute," they'd say, "doesn't just sing to the wind, it sings of a boy's dream to learn." Word of this gifted boy spread far and wide. At the age of 13, the royal court held an examination in Nam Dinh. The village teacher gave Hien some travel money and brought him to take the exam. Among hundreds of scholars in silk robes stood a small boy in worn clothes, clutching his flute as if it were a charm. He ground his own ink, waited patiently for the bell, and began. For 4 days, he tackled each topic with clarity, in philosophy, poetry, and prose. His answers flowed like spring water. The judges praised his script. The calligraphy dances like a phoenix. His ideas, bold and wise beyond his years. When the results were posted on the golden board, people gathered to read the names. At the top, glowing in red, first-ranked scholar, Nguyen Hien, age 13, from Tan Liam, Ha Nam. The capital erupted in joy. Back home, villagers looked up at the sky. They saw Hien's flute kite flying high, its music sounding like a triumphant song returning to Mother Earth. Summoned to the imperial court, young Hien wore a royal robe, but around his neck still hung his old kite flute. The emperor asked, "Why haven't you let go of that flute?" Hien knelt and replied, "A kite flies only with the wind. A man succeeds only with virtue and the hearts of the people. This flute reminds me never to forget my roots." The king nodded and rewarded him with rare books. Hien was appointed to the Imperial Academy to teach and inspire the next generation. Later in life, he advocated for printing books and opened free classes for poor children. Even as a government official, on windy days, he still flew his flute kite. To remember the days of writing on banana leaves while herding buffalo, people of Thang Long said, "In the quiet of night, when his kite flute sang above the capital, children would look up and their eyes would light up with hope." And so his kite still soars today in the hearts of the Vietnamese.